We are live. We are back. We are back. I totally blew that one. Shout out to the Mailroom Nation, the Mailroom Goons. Shout out to the Mailroom Nation, the Mailroom Goons. Okay, man, I really do apologize, brother. I swear I do, man.
It's all
Man,
good.
you know what I did, man? I ended the broadcast without even realizing it. And the whole time you and I on there talking, and there was nobody in the chat or nothing. And I kept looking. I said, man, something is strange about this. But anyway, man, let's take it from the top. I apologize, brother. I know your time is limited, but again, man, for those who are following, man, shout out to the Mailroom Nation, the Mailroom Goons. Today we got a special guest in the house. We got Kokane. And Kokane, once again, I humbly apologize, man. Let's take it from the beginning, bro.
Right.
Where did you grow up at?
Well, I grew up in Pomona, California, and
Uh-huh.
this is the last city out of LA County, and everything you ever want to know from when we talk that P to even home of the G funk, that's where I come from, and that's my
Home.
humble surroundings. I come from a musical background, of course. My father. His name was Jerry Buddy Long Sr., and he was a great actually at Motown Records. And my uncle also, for those that are familiar with the Mac, probably the movie, his name is Willie Hutch, who did the score for the Mac and just a slew of hits. So you kind of say, between me and my cousin, also Code 187 from the group Above the Law, we come from like music royalty. You can kind of say, you know what I mean?
That's that black Superman right there, man.
Yeah.
That's one of my all-time favorites, man. But your beginnings also started off South Bronx, New York, and then you expanded into the California. And your father, he spent a great deal of time in Motown, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes. Yes,
So
Pops was considered a musical genius. So at that time, not to cut you off, brother.
no,
Uh,
no, you good.
at that time, they had some work they was working on in New York, and I was, born in South Bronx, New York. But then they had to relocate to Los Angeles, and then eventually I moved to Pomona with my grandparents. But yeah, I was originally born from South Bronx, man. And it's ironic because you see some of the West Coast pioneers like Ice-T and Tupac, they were born from the East Coast. So it really ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. And, we were able to grow up, like I said, grew up with my grandparents. We always had a musical type of background. My grandfather was heavily into jazz. So it was, you kind of say we had the cheat code between me and my cousin Code 187. It was embedded in our 23 chromosomes.
What was it like being raised up in such a household with such music, with such talented individuals, just music just flowing from every aspect of the house, just going, man. And you seeing all these people, whether it's Supremes or Temptations, I'm sure people was flipping in and out your house as a kid. I mean, how
Well,
did you grasp that?
well, I'm gonna break it down. The music industry is not the nicest industry to be in, and there's a lot of artists from Motown. I'm pretty sure they reconciled with everything and everything's ran proper. But a lot of artists wasn't really getting their money like they deserve. So when I moved with my grandparents, it's just that, at that time, moms and pops was kind of splitting away, and his business was on disarray because of what, the business and him wasn't correct back then. So I had to move with my grandparents, man. You know what I mean? And like I was telling you before, something special about when you live with your grandparents.
Uh-huh.
In our household, we had jazz, blues, hip hop, soul, all kind of stuff, soul music. So it was like a big pot of gumbo, at the same
I
time. But
like that.
yeah, and then running the streets, out in Pomona wasn't that nice, so all that stuff, we had an outlet. A lot of kids nowadays don't have an outlet, but music was definitely, our outlet,
Uh-huh.
growing up in Pomona, California, beside the terrible things that happened. You know what I mean? Music was our outlet.
So what year did you actually land in Pomona?
About 76.
76. And what was going on in Pomona at that time?
Oh man, it was active, like any suppressed environment, brother.
Uh-huh.
Things that spawned out of what Raymond Washington did. You know the rest.
Right.
We even from a person that started, Sintown, which was called Sintown before Trey 7. One of the pillars' name is OG Plan. He came out of Watts. You know what I mean? So it was a migration, of different people just coming out there. Some from LA, some from there, some were actually born out there. But once I landed, in Pomona, because we first moved to Los Angeles out on Hauser, and we was originally living in Rolling 20s. That's out Arlington. You know what I mean? But my grandparents wanted to get away, from all that. So they said, hey, we go to Pomona, not knowing that they jumping out of the frying pan into the boiling pot.
Uh-huh.
Pomona was a small name and people thought it was country. So when you came over that hill, like it only take you 10 minutes to go through it on the flyway. But then they found out, what was happening when it came to Pomona. You know what I mean? Like we was a small town, but we had to kick up dust. So in the 70s, it was crazy. That's the decade of the real butt naked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You didn't have to go to Anzac.
I always remember the fair, the county fair, man. The Pomona fair was like the thing, man.
Once you had to go out there, because the LA, like you said, the LA County Fairgrounds was out in Pomona, California. So, but yeah, man, we back then, rolling out into the 80s in Pomona, it was cool, man. It was, before brothers, some are not here, some start banging. You had some that played sports that could have made it to the NFL, but decided to do something else. It was simple back then. But once like 83 came in, 84, and the crack started picking up, niggas start putting away if I can go to the NFL or if I can go to, it was active. You know what I mean? So, and plus it was a hot spot for a lot of people to come out there and perform at Mount Sac or Cal Poly or even this club called Grand Central Station besides the LA County Fairgrounds. So definitely a hot spot going on, moving on to the IE. You know what I mean?
So, at what point did Stan Shepard enter your life, or was that later on, much later on, or where? Because I'm trying to figure out how did you actually dodge the viciousness of the gangbang, but was able to maintain that musical career going. How does one juggle that, or is it a juggle, or just something you just do?
Well, it was the blessings of God. When God puts you on a journey, He puts you on your journey. You know what I mean? And music was always a part of my life. It was the good grace of God saying, I want y'all in a better position. And at the same time, it was a blessing from our Compton brother. Our Compton brother, Easy E, put us on.
Uh-huh.
Put above the law on, he showed us that, you don't have to stay in a section, and you don't have to continue down this road. We can go ahead and uplift ourselves. And then basically, when you look at Nipsey Hussle basically got the blueprint from Eazy-E, because at that time he was messing with essays, and that was unheard of. He was messing with Bloods, Crips. So when Above the Law got put on in 1989, Hutch took me under his wing. Code 187 said, "Man, I want you to come along with me, man. You got to change your name, because back then my grandmother used to call me MCJ Golden because I got funny color eyes. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother, rest in peace. But he gave me the name Kokane because he felt that my style was different. You sing, you rap, you kind of sound like all these characters. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna call you Kokane because you dope.
Because he was cold.
Yeah, more listening may become addicting, that type of shit.
Right.
Something that I picked up on, and Hutch as well, by learning from what Eazy-E took a chance on. You know what I mean? He put up his dope money to really take a chance, and we learned a lot as far as an independent point of view. Years later, I still run my program like that. So, to us, to Pomonans, that Compton brother was a blessing to us, a blessing of a lifetime, bro.
Do you think Eazy-E get recognized in the way he should be for all the people that he reached out to, even people outside the city of Compton, outside the state as well? He reached out to a lot of different ways and just brought in other people into the music business that had different styles and not necessarily was like they was on some innovation, man. They was introducing some new things to the hip hop scene.
Right.
And your voice was definitely different from anything that we ever heard of. So speak on that for a moment.
Well, Eazy felt I was different. I did a 3-song demo in Pomona at the studio called Jimmy Hot Track Studio. Everybody know about it. Sugar Free, Pomona City Riders, Well Law, Cocaine. A lot of cats recorded there, right? And I did a 3-song demo, and it's this cat by the name of Laylaw, Larry Goodman, who's a contributing member of NWA. You see him in the Straight Outta Compton thing. So he had a production company called Law House, and I was signed through that production company. So once I gave it to Hutch and Laylaw, they had a meeting with Eazy. It didn't take long for me to get signed too. So I was like, wow, because Eric felt the same way Hutch felt, that I felt like, damn, cocaine is going to be something different. And I like the name Cocaine because niggas with attitude, above the law. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of
right.
Shit, Eric. Eric was like, man, I like that shit, man. Laughing and shit. If you know Eric, you know Eric. And Eric took a chance on it, and it's cool. It was cool because I got signed with Epic. I was with Rufus Records, and Epic Records was the distribution. And along that lines, back with Al Masako, Kenny Cambasol, Maurice Warfield, that I was being introduced to Stan Shepard as well. And going back to the Eazy thing, he had a deal. And back then, the FCC laws wouldn't permit the radio to play my name on the radio. So at the last minute, when they was going to come out under Cocaine, the record company, Epic, decided to change the name to Who Am I? So brothers or niggas in the streets were like, nigga, we want cocaine. What's cocaine?
Right.
They wouldn't play me on the radio, but Eazy and Hutch, and at that time, Dre, was so adamantly on using, because they thought I was dope. They said, okay, man, F the radio, man, we're going to put you on our albums. So Hutch put me on a lot of albums. My first platinum record was being able to write Eazy-E's 10 Gangsta Commandments on Appetite of Destruction.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so I was like, shit, let's rock with it, But that door being shut in my face, I think it led me to like do more work, because music was already in me and not on me. So I was like, Chuck D, who cares about the radio? Well,
there it is there.
Okay. You know what I mean?
Who were some of the other people that you was able to write for that actually just went on and just became mega in that genre?
Well, I wrote for so many people, and you talking about guest appearance. You know what I mean? Brother, stop counting. There's thousands and thousands. You know, ranging from global artists as well, from the Japanese market, Japan market. I mean, Australia, just as well as a heavy hand in the Latino market. You know what I mean? So I was able to just work because I had kids at that time. I had to
Uh-huh.
feed my kids. And at
Uh-huh.
that time, Ruthless Records, when Easy E died, that was our lifeline. Things got frozen, assets. You know how it was messy.
Right.
9 times out of 10, when I used to go to the studios, um, Too Short to be in the studio, or Water would be in the studio. Well, 10 times out of 10, they would use a cat. And I would be like, man, they would be like, that's dope. So what it did in the 90s, it created my own safe haven to, number one, put food on the table. But then my name kept building up and building up and building up and building up. And yeah, the money wasn't so good sometimes. Sometimes I had to do what I had to do, features for just to get on.
Uh-huh.
After I had a platinum record. You know what I mean? But it was worth it because years later, I look back and I can contribute that to my beautiful wife who I've been with for 38 years.
Man, shout out to that,
Married
man. Salute
32
you for
years.
that.
Proud of that. But she was my backbone and stopped me one day and said, man, do you know how many features that you own? I was like, nah, because I didn't think about that. And she said, boom, 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 rolled it out, did the research with her and her team. And also it laid out something good for us as far as going back to pick up monies that were,
I
uncountable.
was going to ask you about that too, but go ahead.
That's uncountable. So basically, it was 2 bullet points we did it for. First, I want to inspire my kids like my pops inspired me. And then the next generation, to show the body of work. And no matter what you go through, you know what I'm saying, as long as you stay consistent and creative, you write your own commas on your own blank check. So I
Right.
always lead that to them. But then also I wanted to lay out something in your most practical, righteous way without spilling the beans too much, because some things it's in court, but
How
not all is not.
how important was those lessons that you learned early on with your dad, what you saw him go through? How did they play out later on when you thought back about everything he went through? How did it play back to help you to navigate it in a better way, or get through it in a way that maybe he didn't see back then?
Well, it's a lot of opportunity. It's a lot
Uh-huh.
of opportunity that we have that pops didn't have back then.
Uh-huh.
You could really take your autonomy and independence and really do something. But back then, you had to bogart and had to keep your rifle ready. For people knocking on your door sometimes because you want your publishing or you want your rights. What's a little more open? And it's like, as you get older, you ain't supposed to just get gray hairs to your chin, but mostly to your game and spirit. And I was fortunate enough to have a family to remind me that, hey, you got to ground your wires so you can start using your mind to think, because you know I don't want to repeat history of certain things that my pops and them went through. And it allowed me to go through my travels, have my experiences, because experiences, that's the best teacher. But then it allowed me to make a pivot right on time. And you got to thank God for your pivots, because those pivots is being a change of mind and change of heart. And that's what God did for me, my family did for me. And I was able to make a pivot 14, 15 years ago. And it did me so good because, I like to create music, but I get more pleasure by seeing my daughter sing, and, her dreams coming to life, and seeing all the kids' growth, because I have 8 children by one woman. So that was more important. That was like my music. So once I established that again, it allowed me to, take some time out. Sometimes you got to take some time out and see what the hell is going on to make sure you can get everything organized. And I was fortunate to organize my business. And the music reflects growth. Everybody know what I do. There was only two people that came to the West Coast the most, and that was the late great Nate Dogg. And before him, a little bit before him, was Kokane. Kokane's still here. So it's a blessing to be able to articulate that over to the younger generation, because I have youngsters now, and we've been blessed enough to be elders to not just, talk about the aspect of being dope, but mostly on the aspect of your own personal journey when it comes to business, when it comes to certain traps out there, when it comes to not mixing the street so much with this business. And, all these things are very important. You know what I mean? So that way a youngster out there can look at this conversation or listen to this conversation and pick up on some of the bullet points to be inspired. Because, brother, at the end of the day, all we hear are vessels to inspire. And it's a blessing to inspire the next
Absolutely.
generation.
Absolutely, man. So, how did one during the time now we in the 80s, right? And we all trying to you're navigating through this music business, but at the same time you're in Pomona Centown. Trey 57 is going strong. The crack era is going on. But now you have a wife, and I don't know how many kids was born at that time, but it had to be a bit of a task in order to navigate that whole lifestyle, being this rapper, being this iconic rapper with these other individuals that was, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people think just because you rap and you've been on songs and you've been in all these different venues that you be rich. You know what I mean? So now you got these dudes standing aside thinking that, you know what I mean, you supposed to bless them or something, and that gets in the way of certain things, relationships rather, you know what I mean? So how do one navigate that part?
Well, like I said, music, and hip hop, it saved my life. Music. We had some brothers that used to pop. I used to pop lock. I used to eat little break dance, spin on my head. We had certain things. We had free lunch programs we can go through. Until they started reducing things and taking things away and introducing guns and crack, then you had those that were banging, but then it made people put, man, I'm gonna put music away, man, I'm gonna put sports away, I'm gonna put that. And it just made it like one big old pot of negativity. You know what I mean? But at the same time, what was the end result for me was music. So yeah, I would do certain things I can't say,
Of
on
course, of
on this
course.
program. We ain't like the youngsters. Youngsters a little bit different. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
some of them got that indictment, because you
Yeah.
out too much. But us as OGs, we know, I would say it was cool that we had a hip hop scene and music scene in Pomona and boxing scene, because when you look at the Weavers, you look at Sugar Shane Mosley, we
Of
had
course.
some outlets, brother, that it didn't matter who it was a lot of bullshit going on and a lot of gangster shit going on. But those that were able to sustain what they were doing, it's just like my brother. My brother used to play in this movie called Palmerstown, USA,
Uh-huh.
like the main character, but he wouldn't listen to my grandmother. And I would listen to, but I would had a little bit more ear to listen to my grandparents. So a lot of stuff he used to do, that music would occupy my time. Pop locking would occupy my time. But then there was times where I can't talk about, you know what I'm saying? That was that. But when it came to my brother, Trey 57, he was hard headed, and he did 11,200 days by being hard headed. He just got out. He'd been out 3 years, 31 years, brother. But
Wow.
he looked back and he said, man, I'm glad you really, really, really didn't. I'm glad music really.
That you invest yourself in the music.
Music, and you never forgot where you came from, Jerry. That's my brother now talking to me. You know, because I didn't. Once I got into the music, even when I signed with a Compton brother, I always mentioned my town, Pomona. Same thing with Above the Law, and that particular, you know, situation helped all Pomonas, because years later you look at cats. Not so many years later, you look at cats that's sugar free. You look at a whole, you know, even Percy and different other stuff came. You know what I mean? But we, you know, we had to tell it like it was, coming from where we came from.
Hey man, you know what? I love me some Just Mac, O-Dog,
Oh yeah, Just
O-Mac,
Mac, rest in peace.
Just Mac, O-Mac, Wood, G
Yep,
Wood,
yep, Lil
One
Rap,
Punch, One
Charlie
Eye
Mac,
Reggie, Killer
yep,
Cool.
yep, yep.
Yeah, they're my guys right there, man.
Just Mac, rest in peace.
And D-Dog too, D-Dog. You know, all of that Pomona Trey 5-7, man. They, you know what I mean? I knew them
Lil
cats.
Mo, Snamu, Lil Mo just got out, and he
Uh-huh.
good. And that's the thing we saying. It's like when you get old and you get out, hey man, things are different. You got a whole different mentality. You know what I mean? And that's the mentality that we're trying to bridge the gap between the youngins and the old. OGs, I wouldn't call old because I'm still young to me.
Who was KMG?
KMG was an incredible brother. You know what I mean? KMG from Pomona. And he was just all around real person, very kind hearted. But he one of them ones. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
He
Got
one of them ones with
got
things
you.
and anything
He a
else.
hand god. He a hand god.
Yeah, he one of them ones. Anybody that know KMG, man, know that KMG, knowledge most greatly, was, you know, was a real one, man. And he's definitely a pillar and a big contributor to the whole West Coast, man, and the G-Funk at the same time.
Where did actually the G-Funk, where did that term come from? If you can speak on it.
That came from our camp. That came from our camp. Code 187 is the actual creator of G-Funk. And KMG, myself, Total Chaos, Gomat, you know, even Laylaw, we're the architects of that particular sound. But really, when it comes to KMG, comes to myself and Code 187, a lot of the stuff you hear on Black Mafia, Life, Uncle Sam, Curse, we were doing those harmonies. So we're called the architects of G-Funk, but it was created from us. You know, Code 187 is the actual creator of G-Funk.
Man, I went absolutely crazy on that Black Superman. That's my theme song.
That's off Uncle Sam's Curse, man. One of the coolest albums.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's man. That just really. So okay, at what point that you meet Stan Shepard and you begin to get some more, because Stan Shepard bring a lot of wisdom to the music business, and he also see things in terms that you may not see at the time, and you just like when you listen to him talk, you're able to follow that direction. How important was that?
Oh, well, one thing I can say, and it's the strongest bullet point I can say about he don't sugarcoat shit.
No, he don't.
That part records. He gonna tell you if you like it or not. And see, you need people around you like that, because too many people got yes men around them. And you need people to say, nah, that might not work. You know what I mean? But through his delivery, it's nothing but respect, man. He don't make you feel like a $2 bill. You know what I'm saying? Even though you might have $2 in your pocket, he gonna tell you the real. And I appreciate that. And building a relationship with him, asking him about some of the days that happened, and you know, when he knew my father, you know, it's just incredible, and it drew us close. It's like
he's an incredible man.
That's like my adopted father, you know, because he was so close to my father and knowing some of the hardships that my pops, and he was younger than my pops, but you know, when the universe hook up certain things, you know, you know that's not ironic. So that's why anything Uncle asked me to do or be about, you know what I'm saying? man, I instantly, man, respect my OGs, man, and he's one of
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, man, I'd like to take this time and give a special shout out to our sponsor, Miracle Juice 911. It is great for the body. This one is beets and berries, got plenty antioxidants in it. Great. We also got a green machine here. This is great stuff.
them.
You guys can contact God's Property. Shout out to God's Property, the sponsor of the Wisdom Wednesday this Wednesday. And we just shouting her out today. And hopefully you guys will get with her on some of this beets and berries and
Yeah, I need
green
some of
machine.
that. I need some of that.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, this is good stuff, man. I mean, I tell you, man, it make you feel like something different, man. It make
That's,
you feel like you're 20 years old.
man, that's good. Everything is back in nature. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Shout out to her, man. You guys are looking to get with Miracle Juice 911. She's on Instagram. And it's at Miracle Juice 911. Her telephone number is actually 770. Let me see. 899-5288. 770-899-5288. I had to put it in the light. I'm gonna take a sip right here.
Ain't it, man?
Yeah, so back to it, man. So what was it like going out the country, man? Was that something new, or was that, or did it weigh on the family life? Because you mentioned you had 8 children. So
Mhm.
going out the country and doing those tours and stuff, what was that like?
Well, I went out of the country, before my boy, our family was even conceived. Our boys was born in 1991. They was actually born on 420.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they just turned 31. But Easy E took us out there. It was cool, man. Like that's the only tour they ever did is NWA, and we had a chance to go out there, and it was real cool, man. It was an experience because we come from the ghetto, to be able to see something across another place that's different from yours. It just brought my perspective on a lot of stuff. It opened up my mind. And that was the experience of a lifetime to be able to go at that age, just, young age. You know what I mean? It was cool.
So how does one keep up with the you said you did a lot of features, you did a lot of different special appearance or special guests or features or whatever. But
Mhm.
how does one is that on ASCAP, or what's the other one? BMI that
Yeah.
keeps up with the money.
There's a lot of things, brother. I can't really say so much, but there's a
Uh-huh.
lot of things sometimes you got to go back and clean up. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
got you.
So
Got you. Got
I'm in the process, of there's at least 45% things I need to clean up, to be brutally honest. But
Okay.
those things will be intended to because it's the right season for me to do that. You know,
Uh-huh.
there's some things that, I just did a lot of work on, and the compensation might not have been, they knew how to register it properly, but still, a name is more precious than gold sometimes. So the compensation is that I got credited, the song is done. You can actually look it up, and it's just one to put on the list out of so many that still come through today. There's clients all over the globe that still ask for this particular sound, and I'm humbled by that. Here I am in my 50s, and now I got youngsters that are 16, 17 saying,
Right.
man, I need that. And that's I mean.
Yeah, my nephew being one of them, man.
Mhm. But I'm humbled by that because, you're supposed to, it was a blessing,
Right.
meet George Clinton and deal with him and Bootsy Collins and all those people, man, that, just had a big impact besides my uncle and or my father. And then to work with them, and them talking to me like I'm talking to your audience. You know what I mean? It's just surreal. but that lets you know anything that a man or woman put your mind to, you stay consistent. It's something that the universe changes even on a quantum level. The key to anything on that journey is stay consistent, get in the rhythm. That's why
Absolutely.
that's why you got shamans. That's why you got people that repeat the same prayers. That's why you got African drums, because it's something that if you get into a rhythm of life, it'll manifest exactly what rhythm you in.
Two
So I
words.
stayed in the rhythm of music. You know what I mean? The key of G.
There you go, man. That's that headyism, man. It's like if
Mhm.
I could be humming a tune and it'll jump in your head, and next thing you know, you humming it. You
Yeah,
may not, I may not hear it, but it's in there. You know what I mean? That's just how powerful that is. That's how that just transfer like that. You know what I mean? Because we have that.
really law of attraction, brother.
Right,
We just
right,
distracted by things we suppressed by. Until
right.
God, I'll put it like this. One thing that made me, grow is that I had to be broken. I had to be broken.
What do you mean by that?
Brokenness is good. Man, you up and then you're down. Then you gotta go to jail. Then all your stuff is at disarray. Then you're homeless with your family. Oh, that was a good opportunity for God to come in.
So you became a respecter of the law of nature and universal principles because it made you understood how real these circumstances would be versus some people just go out there and just spend money and do all this stuff and then don't realize if you don't make the right investments, you don't do the right things with the money,
Mhm.
at some point that money can go away like
Yeah,
bounce that, you know.
yeah. But then when God heals you, because I'm a firm believer in the Most High. When
Uh-huh.
when He mends you, it's just like it's mind blowing. You know, I don't mean to be so preachy, like this is a sermon,
No,
but
no,
I
no. Do your thing, bro.
it's
That's what this is about. The Hood Postman is about deliverance and delivery. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? Because we got to be able to deal. Because a large percentage of our people suffer from information malnutrition. So when brothers like you can come on and just give your history, but also give your story and be compassionate and have feelings attached to it, that's super, man. That's just super dope to me.
yes, sir, man. Well, that's what it's all about, man. Like what was we talking about?
Yes, we were talking about the music, but we was talking about the spirituality side, how sometimes we get caught up in these whirlwinds and we talking about the aspect of money
Hmm.
and how life has a tendency to go up, come down,
Yeah.
go up, and then it show
Oh,
you
that's
some
what we was
realities.
talking about.
Yeah,
We was talking about that brokenness.
yes, that
Yeah,
brokenness.
that brokenness was good because you realize, man, all diamonds are made by pressure, and if you put under more pressure, you become a rare diamond.
Yes,
You know what I mean? You shine different.
right.
So I just thank God that hey, people might gravitate to the music of what I've done, but then that's on the surface. The real deal is to tell them about family principles. Being with a woman for 38 years, and your kids is now handed the baton to really introduce the tribal part of what, especially as a culture, we lost a long time ago. This is tribal. This is what our ancestors expect us to do.
Yeah.
So
The
our
interesting thing about what you just said, right?
Mhm.
You born in '69, I'm born in '59. You born March the 10th, I'm born March the 27th, right?
Mhm.
You have 8 children by one woman, I have 8 children by one woman. So we have a great deal more in common than we do not in common, my brother.
And the universe don't lie.
The universe don't lie. But I want to also ask you, are you familiar with Patricia and Herman Fuqua?
Mm-mm. What's that?
That's those some names. Herman Fuqua and Patty Fuqua. They out of Centown.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know you're
Yeah.
talking. Yeah, start naming names and stuff.
Right, right, right.
On Belinda Street.
Okay, got you, got you. See, what about the Miles? Did you know any of the Miles?
No, I didn't know the miles.
Okay,
I didn't know the miles. A lot of times, brother and them used to hang around. I used to hang around Robert James. I used to hang around Wood. Robert James, rest in peace. That was a Little Rat brother. I used to hang around Charlie Mack because I was always following behind my brother. You know what I'm
Yeah, it
saying?
was a lot of Macs out of that sin time.
Yeah. Steve, rest in peace. Chris Fowler, Little Jeff. That's when they started Jacqueline Street, Shintown. Who else? Shamu. You know, even my little partner, my little brother, Lil Mo, call him my little brother. He just got out. He did 29. You know,
right.
Cats like Gun. You know what I'm saying? Just a lot of cats I can name, but I don't want to play name that drop because certain shit.
Yeah. Got you.
Try to stay away from because y'all got to realize feds is watching.
They do watch, bro.
Yeah.
They do watch.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? A lot of cats I ain't seen in a minute because the music took me away, you know, from a lot of stuff, which is good. But I've always checked in and tapped back in home. Certain cats I see, I'll be like, damn, I ain't seen you in a minute. They be like, yeah, nigga, you was little Jerry. Like,
Kokane featuring Badass on my mama.
Yeah, but it's a blessing, man, to be able to go back and, you know, see certain cats, you know, from that 70s, late 70s, early 80s, man, because it's a lot of brothers, man, ain't here, man, like died on some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same old two-step with a different song, you know what I mean?
There it is there, man. That's it, man. When Stan put out the Demon Sharks and Gangsters, what was your initial thoughts about the book?
Oh, there you go. You don't sugarcoat nothing. That's the best thing I can say. And people need to hear that because a lot of people sugarcoat shit. And, you know, in these days of times, you got to keep it 110% true.
Right.
You know, and the truth is ugly. It's always ugly, brother.
Did you also meet Lee Ford?
Oh, man, that's big bro.
That's my guy.
You look like little baby Lee. Nah, Big Lee, man, shout out to Big Lee, man. That's a good brother right there. And he always had my back. You know, when I went through a couple things, dark periods, he was always there. You know, and be like, man, nah, man. You know, because we all go through our periods. You know what I mean? Some stay on their periods.
That's true.
But we went through our periods.
What was it like? Did you ever work with Battle Cat?
Yeah, I work with Battle Cat.
What was it like getting a Battle Cat beat, man? What was that like, man? Because he seemed like
Battle Cat's an incredible DJ, first of all, and then he picked up on the music. Music was always in him. It's a cold chemistry. I mean, you heard some of the songs on the East Siders, the Short Chops. Just the list goes on, man. We got a lot of songs together, and it's just like, you know, it's just like Parliament, Bootsy and George Clinton. You know, so yeah, he's definitely one of the pillars of the West Coast, and definitely as a producer.
Definitely, man. And once again, man, let me give a wisdom, man. If you don't know the value of loyalty, you'll never understand the damage of betrayal. And that's just, man, you know what I mean? And when you're in this music business, you have to know loyalty. You have to know loyalty. That's part of
it. That's one thing, you know, to interject on. It's like you have to, you know, I was loyal to a lot of things and went through a lot of hoops with a lot of brothers that just wasn't reciprocating the loyalty back. Sometimes you'd be like, you have to pinch yourself and say, man, that maybe I shouldn't have handled that way. But it's not your fault. It's the niggas that roll on you. It's their fault. It's the ones that put on the facade.
Yeah, it's always the people.
Yeah. So, you know, no one in this industry could ever say Kokane He fucked me. He did this to my shit. He don't pay. No one out of thousands of features. And at the same time, I kind of took the Kaepernick and Kyrie approach. Like, you can't buy me like that. I'm not a prostitute.
Awesome.
I do bad by myself. I do bad by myself. Stay in a little bitty box with a little love, than to share contention with a bunch of strife and scoffer shit in a mansion. I'm not gonna do that. Big blessings come in small packages. So that's how I treat the whole situation. Your loyalty is royalty, man. And it's like
That's
I
why.
always, because I've been loyal, because I treat people how I want to be treated. You know what I mean? It's about longevity, man. Eventually, those things are stored up for you. You know what I mean? Because a name, again, is more precious than silver and gold. You can have money all day, but with a fucked up name, fucked up street cred, you falsifying information, you
Yes.
bullshit, you continuously
Yes.
making a false
Talk
perception.
that stuff,
Not
man.
you,
Talk
you
that
know what
stuff,
I mean?
man.
But nah, man, I kick back, man.
That's
I
right,
stay
Kokane.
out the
That's
way.
why you
You know what
you
I mean?
and I'm gonna add this to it, man. That's why bees don't sit around explaining to flies why honey is better than S. That just don't happen. You know what I mean? And when you put it in the context to where we got to always put it in context where even a goat can get it. You know what I mean? I like to explain things. I call it MIP. Just make it plain, man. And you made it plain, man. And I respect that, man, because I can tell, just from our conversation that you're a principal man. And
Right.
principle, it takes you everywhere, man. You can open up all kind of doors, man, and walk through them, and everybody just be, man, they'll be okay with you.
Yeah. Well, you gotta learn. You gotta
You
learn, man.
gotta learn.
It's not about you.
No,
If
it's
you
not.
know that, if you know
It's
that,
not.
boy, your whole mentality will change. You know what I'm saying? One soul is measured by what you do for others, especially those that need you. They need that voice. They might not have that voice. So it's deeper than, you know what I'm saying, just putting on the act. Oh, I'm doing this. Nah, man, like, I'm glad I had a chance, even through certain pitfalls that I had, to stick around my family and build that relationship, because you miss so much opportunity, even as a hustler or whatever industry you're doing, that a lot of times you've gone away from times where, hey, man, you need to be at basketball practice. Hey, man, they promise you fishing. Why don't you take, that's the most important thing, because I'm going to tell you something. All that stuff will follow you. I don't chase money. Money gonna chase you. If you establish those principles that it's the original way you're supposed to be, that's why we got tampered. That's why we got messed up. If you look at 1920 Black Wall Street, we had a chance to uplift ourselves. You look at 1898, we had the Black Republicans, when it was actually two documents of, but they always step in, because the thing is to mess up the family.
Uh
And it
huh.
goes back to the family.
Uh huh.
Anything you want to do, you must establish a family point of view.
Uh
You know
huh.
what I mean? So it's like, being in this industry, it's like, it's cool to, talk that shit. But at the same time, it's cool to go ahead and perpetuate a balance. Like,
Absolutely.
I could do a Denzel Washington movie, Training Day, and then I could do a Malcolm X. But at the same time, young brothers and sisters, I'm Denzel Washington when I go home. So we need that go home approach, especially in the music industry, because these kids are now getting caught up. They influence millions of people. I'm not going to say if they right or wrong. That's their business if they get indicted. But now we need to change the trajectory of the way our music is, and the way, who's behind the music. Who are you? Because we need those principles, especially when it comes to our culture.
Cocaine. I have a proclivity to do what I do, right? But at the same time, people always telling me different stuff about, me. But I don't see it in those terms. I just do what I do because I have an infinity for this. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And and they tell me I do a good job or whatever, but I never let it change me, who I am. I just stay the course. You know what I mean? Because the course is more important and the work is more important, far more than who I am as an individual. See,
Right.
because I tell people the lone wolf will die in the winter, but the team will survive all 4 seasons. And
So
that's
what
part of
is
that
team?
family unit. That's that family unit you're speaking about because the family can be consistent with the team.
Mm-hmm. Your team basically is another word for family.
Yes,
That's what team is.
right.
It's like you got a successful team that thinks successful. Put action to thought. Stay
Uh huh.
consistent, military consistent. And then
Uh
you
huh.
got a team over here, and this team over here is just starting off. They might not have a lot of money, but they're very creative. They're intuitive. They're transparency. Then you got this team over here that's balling. Oh, crazy money. But this team over here is getting indicted eventually. How many times do people see that you must associate yourself around like-minded people that
True.
and adopt new habits, just adopt new habits to help you go to the next level. It's like a sperm cell trying to get to the egg.
Right.
Don't
Right.
pick. It's only one that's going to listen. You know what I mean? So those are the people like when we talking, even inspiring in our music, and and even just chopping up conversation because I don't consider this an interview. I like it that it's a conversation.
I
So
love that. And I tell everybody, I just have conversations.
yeah, somebody somewhere, brother, is inspired.
Uh
So
huh.
us as being elders, we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do because we stand on the ground of action and staying consistent and showing.
Right.
You know what I mean? We got heart. You got to have heart to represent a family. You got to have heart to be able to say, I resist that. I'm
Uh
not going
huh.
to. No, brother, maybe you should try something different. It's not cool to go ahead and do what you need to do. No, put the pistol up in your car, man. It's hey man, you gotta have heart nowadays because society is so impacted by saturation of what people think. But if you're an OG gonna stand different anyway. I don't care what you're talking about.
It's because you see everybody doing something. Don't make it correct.
Mm-mm,
You know.
mm,
And you have to understand these things. You know what I mean? Because we get so caught up in with them doing it over there, they doing it. You know what I mean? Other words, we kind of see things that's occurring and that's happening, and then we think we supposed to join in on it because everybody else is doing it, but they're wrong. You know what I mean? You just following something that hasn't been actually designated or defined, or do you know what the outcome? Because we want the best outcomes for ourselves and our families, definitely, and always, you know.
yeah.
But
Well, we have
sometimes
to hold ourselves
accountable.
accountable and us. A lot of people got to stop investing their time in mediocrity.
That's it. Yeah,
Mediocrity, simple-minded shit.
yeah,
Seen the
minuscule,
worst wars. I've
minuscule.
seen the worst wars in jail over a Snicker bar.
Yeah.
Over a little Snicker bar.
Watch this. There's a guy. His name is Napoleon Hill. You probably heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
He said one of the most powerful emotions that a man has is his desire to have sex. But if he can harness it and transmute it to a monetary equivalent, he'd be that much further ahead. In other words, what he meant was that if you took your life, you spend your first 10, 15, 20 years building your life,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be good for the rest of your life because you wouldn't have to look for no woman, you wouldn't have to look for anything because your foundation is already solid, built up, ready to go. Because you spent those personal years, those real personal private years that you were supposed to spend on building a life,
Mm-hmm.
getting the foundation, bringing the family, and bringing all that together. Then it just everything just sails like easy. But often, cocaine, we start off as a deficit, and when I say a deficit, the deficit is going to prison, being part of a gang, being part of something that's dysfunctional, has a negative turnout, has a negative outcome. So what we should have got at 20, we now getting it at 40, 50, or 60 when we should have got it at 20. But that's what this society likes about us as a people is that we wind up in a deficit because they trying to out track us. But we so talented, we so rich in talent and spirit, and and we could just excel in at many different things, and whether it's physics, geometry, chemistry, mathematics, we can excel in that. But we have to apply. We have to be pliant, and we just lose that point. And I hope I didn't talk too much, but go ahead,
Oh
brother.
no, no, I'm soaking it up. And basically, how do these things intertwine? How do three things intertwine? You got the industry, you got your family, and you got the community, the streets.
Uh-huh.
All these things intertwine. But we have to, like I said, when I stop investing our time in mediocrity, at the same time, we can complain about police brutality all day. We can complain, damn, the homie Nip is gone. I'm marching down the street.
All right.
But then 2 or 3 days later, you're going back to the same repetitive, animalistic, low frequency way of thinking.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, until we correct, not just express, till we correct an abundance of our conditions, we'll always be playing the blame game. Beep, 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 beep. That's
Yep.
investing in mediocrity. It's
Yep.
like going nowhere. You know what I mean? We have to be able to continue, because it's an ongoing battle. We warriors.
Right.
We have to continue to express, certain things at a time, to when, it's kind of brutal. It seems like nobody ain't listening. Seems like, just the abundance of bullshit going on, but still, you got the spirit of a warrior, especially with landscape we come from. We ain't gonna bat an eye. We ain't gonna fret, because this what the young brothers and sisters really need to hear. You know what I'm saying? So that they can feel some type of empowerment about themselves. I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, brother. You did, man. You also, man. What's your thoughts on what we saw happen in Atlanta with the 28 count indictment, and I don't know how many counts, but 26 people on the indictment, and some of the guys that's on the indictment, you would think they was well off and they had their lives pretty much, you know, circled into the music business, but like you said, back to your point early on, it intertwined. And the intertwine, sometimes things supersede what's supposed to be at the top or the forefront, the things at the bottom, the Lord thinking, the Lord desires supersedes.
Mhm. Well, all good things, well, at least they think it's good things. All good things must come to an end.
Uh-huh.
See, I don't, a young brother out there, he stayed with his mom. His mom was a single parent. Dad ran out, did whatever. He's selling dope, trying to get his family into a better situation. You can kind of really give them brothers a pass, because the system is set up automatically for these young brothers to fail. The federal judges are racist. This is racist. You know what I mean? But when you get into a situation, it's just my opinion, to where you're doing things based upon a fantasy, uh, uh, I'm John Gotti Part 5, then it's something else. And I'm not going to say whether those brothers are wrong or not. I ain't no hater like that. But when you're out there putting out frequencies that influence millions and millions of people, not into a way of entertainment, but bullshit, mayhem influence, to where it's not entertainment no more.
Uh-huh.
You always reap what you sow.
True.
And you know what I'm saying? You can't act like you untouchable. See, nobody's untouchable. Nobody. And they've been watching them. And something has to stop. So maybe whoever is the sacrificial lamb for these youngsters to look at that and stop talking so god dang much on this damn internet. You know what I'm saying? You can go listen to a lot of country. Countries ain't having problem with another. Hey, I'm gonna bang on this country, rock and roll. But when it comes to hip hop and the black community, the label keeping it real is dysfunctional in their mind because you keeping it ignorant and stupid. And here these guys is thinking you could do this and do that, and think you can get away with the biggest gang in the world, and that's them feds. You ain't doing it.
Right.
So maybe, I'm guessing, maybe some of these youngsters will dummy up and not trying to beat their chest and try to be famous over shit that is real idiotic and ignorant to this day. When you make your money, you're supposed to go legit. But see, a lot of things is built upon false perception too. I will say this. All these cats you see out here, let's just keep it honest. It ain't no big secret. Damn, I ain't snitching. This is already out there. Half these people ain't getting no money from no damn record sales. They get from other sources.
Yes.
Sponsors and shows.
Yes.
You know, record sales lost billions and billions of dollars.
Right.
And you're only getting paid less on the penny with the streaming companies. So all this shit is out here is a big facade. And it's about time whoever is involved to have a crash course. Because to tell you the truth, it fucks it up for people that really are saying some things, really are about that life of persevering and changing around it. You're going to see some more examples because when you continue to perpetuate that frequency, the universe is going to pay you exactly what you put out there.
Do the payola still exist?
Of course it is. Well,
okay.
I mean, well, that's always going to be around.
Okay.
You know, payola always going to be around.
Uh-huh.
You know
that's
that.
If you set up right, though, right?
Yeah. Well, it's different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean? Payola is still the same. And if you do it right, I mean, that's your business. Business is business. I tell everybody, business is neither good or bad. It's business. If you decide to mess up, well, that's business that went bad. But business is business, not personal.
Right. Got you. Yeah, that's interesting. You know, we living in some different times, brother. I'll tell you.
Man, where the snitches get passes. You know, I'm a full heterosexual. I like man and woman, especially a black queen, but these are the time where they're mostly introducing pedophilia in there. I mean, Will Smith saw slapping the shit out of Chris Rock versus the pedophiles that try to take his shit away. It's shit crazy. You look on all these commercials, they introduce some pedophilia. It's just it's everything that their scripture or whatever, the Quran or whatever, it has some validity to it. And just life experiences, if you have your third eye open, there's some wicked, satanic shit going on. Period.
Did you get a chance? Did you get a chance to see hear Kendrick Lamar's Heart Part 5? I thought that was deep, man.
On point. And those are the artists that we need. Like when you talk about his younger generation, I'm glad what he's doing is popular. Because you got a whole bunch of nothing that's popular. And that's just my humble opinion.
Yeah, what he did with the facial expressions and his wordplay and what he was saying, deep, bro. Deep.
And he's what you call an artist. You know what I mean? Because he can go there, and that's the era we come from. You can hear Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing, then you can hear What's Going On. And they were both popular. You know what I mean? So like in the 80s and the 90s.
That was a very interesting combination, you know?
Yeah, you could hear it, but where it stopped when the internet came in and Napster came in and even Prince was trying to warn us about what was going on many moons ago. You know what I mean? Like they diluted the balance. Because you could hear an NWA record, Fuck the Police, and then hear Chuck D record, and you know what I'm saying? Fight the Power. And they were like this. Nowadays, music don't have a balance, and life is about yin and yang. So show me the landscape of music. I'm gonna show you where popular music is in hip hop, and that's why. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no oxygen to even breathe positivity in a room full of just negative smoke everywhere, and that has to stop.
What's your take on the drill music?
Let's go. Me, people ask me what I listen to. I say Anita Baker, Luther Vandross,
Classics.
Parliament, some whispers.
Timeless.
Yeah. You know, even if messing with the white boys, you know, wait, Hall and Oates. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. You listen to that. I call it timeless music.
Because music has hurts in it. And certain hurts, it could, you know, kind of whip up your mind. I like to stay in the 432 hertz range. You know what I mean? Those sonic sounds. People don't understand what I'm talking about unless you know music theory and you're a musician. Them frequencies that's coming out of a lot of sounds today are actually, some of it is corrupting and influence a lot of shit because you hear repetitively the same tones that is really not in line with the 432 hertz. Now somebody's gonna know what I'm talking about. But that's why when you hear certain things, like I don't like dishing other shit, but I just stay in my lane. You know,
Gotcha.
I
That's fair.
I listen to some good jazz.
That's fair.
Some good R&B, real R&B, not this. I wanna go to the club and fuck you on the dance floor. Nah, bruh.
Hey man,
That's
when
something else.
you can put on a side of some Thelonious Monk, some Wes Montgomery,
Yeah.
or some of that stuff like that, man,
Yes. You
it
was
gets deep, bro.
yeah.
Some Miles Davis,
You know what I'm saying? Ella Fitzgerald.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I like music that's good for my soul, whether it's a dance record or, whether it's something that make you think. I think music was here to move your soul, not corrupt it.
Exactly what it's for. But that's why we don't see the X Clan. Remember when we had X Clan and Chuck D and all these different other, people that was, conscious. It's just like I always give these analogies, right? In 1968, James Brown said, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud."
Mm-hmm.
And the Impressions, they was it Impressions? Yeah, they came out with "We Are Winners," and don't you ever let a feeble mind stand in your way and say you can't make it. Those two songs did more for us to empower and move us forward to the 70s than any other thing. Any other thing. All you gotta do is go listen to the list. The music is fine, but listen to the lyrics, and you'll totally understand what I'm saying. Anybody can listen to that, and I know you know because you're a music guy. But
see, we had a chance to grow up. Think about it. With all the hardcore gangsters, right? Back when they used to have a record player in the car, an old rider.
Oh yeah, I remember them days.
It was real authentic and sacred, not this lollipop shit, right? It's a reason why we roll old. They call them old classics now, because that music was a part of us being crocheted into the ghetto fabric. That was our theme song to a soundtrack to our life. It was like special. All the real P's, the players, the Max, the gangsters. It's the reason you roll up with Cameo or Today I'm Just a Lonely Man. Or you roll up with some Marvin Gaye. What's going on?
Well, go on and give us a bar too, man.
My voice is a little rusty right now, but I'm saying that music is timeless.
Yes, it is.
And there's too many people, too many artists out there that are miscrewing the life of Tupac or the life of this. If Tupac was here, he would want to tell you, I ain't trying to die. I'm trying to live. There's too many 5 Pocs and 7 Pocs out there that is taking what this man did and misconstruing it. And I'm saying, let's go back to music when it was a balance. There's nothing wrong with hearing live instrumentation. There's nothing wrong with talking about music of substance to raise your consciousness and make you think, because people don't realize, more so than the television, more so than your own hood, music is more of an influence than anything besides God. God is music. So I ain't telling nobody to say the Lung Foundation. If you want to make a PI song or want to make a gangster shit, that's cool. But put some medicine in the food sometime.
Gotta put some medicine in the food, but people don't understand.
Balance, you know what I'm saying? And when things is out of balance, that's why the hood is the way it is, because of our music.
All you gotta listen to is the term itself. Yeah. Television. Watch this. Live vision. Live vision. Telling lies. That's all it is.
All it is, man. Once you break free of that, all the stuff you used to make fun of, when you're a wise man and you live a little longer, you think to yourself, damn, I used to make fun of that, but it's the best wisdom I ever heard in my life. You know what I mean? You got to be able to have the right attitude to determine your altitude to accept this type of wisdom. Because a lot of brothers out there, you be so prideful and you be so this and that. But a lot of that shit be clown shit that y'all got to just wake up and just correct some things and take the pride out your pocket and listen to some things, especially with people that are leading by example, that's going to help you in your life. Man, I was blessed enough to have you, Stan Shepard, and you're this person, my father, give me some type of wisdom, because that wisdom stuck with me to this day. And back when I was very immature, I didn't realize, how much those things, jewels that they gave to me, can not only save my life, but actually give me the courage to change, to think I can do something bigger than where I came from.
Hey, man, your uncle, Willie Hutch, wrote Brothers Gonna Work It Out, but he also wrote a song called Slick.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that song?
Oh, man, my first record was recording with Uncle Willie Hutch in 1987, Canoga Park. I remember everything about Willie. And see, Willie was special. He was on that, but back then, the records that Hutch did, brought to him, and I brought to him, he was like, because we was the streets. We mixed a little balance, but he was just
he was just looking at y'all.
Like, yeah, man, like, whoa. And see, a lot of people used to look at us. My grandmother used to look at us because they didn't understand hip hop. But see, hip hop been around ever since they were scatting, bebopping. Ever since Muhammad Ali was doing this shit. Ever since Kool Herc started things and Big Cass, and you know what I mean?
Hip hop was Righteous Teachers and Last Poets.
Hip hop was always on the way. You know what I mean? It just, according to a season, did what it was supposed to do, the 70s, 80s, and 90s. You know what I mean?
And then it morphed into something that we all like, sitting around like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, so all I can say, man, with this whole journey, the journey has been a blessing, because it wasn't all that good. That's why I'm saying it's a blessing.
Okay.
People see me now. They see a smile, the best way I could smile, whether you like it or not. But it's a blessing that those that really know me know some of the dark sides and know some of the experiences that I share, not so good. And that helped me. That helped me realize that I don't care what industry you in, if you're flipping a burger, if you're helping stuff, things is about two things when it comes to God. And you're supposed to use every business. I don't care if you're successful in the hip hop industry, if you're a mogul doing what you're doing, it's only a footstool to help family and help community. That's it.
That is there, man.
As long as you got that principle, you don't got to worry about what I'm going to do next or what I'm going to do. Law of attraction. Whatever man think is what you sow. And when you put action and military action through your consistency, it's something divinely and supernatural that is beyond your human comprehension or things that you understand. And who are you for God to grant you that? Well, God is looking for gangsters. You don't understand that. God
Right.
ain't looking for no cream puffs. He's looking for gangsters because you can do this on this side. You bold enough, but let me change your mind to better yourself.
Right.
Let me shut you down for a second so you ain't got no one else to talk to but to me. And if you ever in that circumstances, man, do a couple backflips because you're really blessed. Because the bravest brothers I ever know is right there in the grave in the pine box. And we were dealt the same set of circumstances. So what you gonna do with it? It's like either you gonna wise up or rise up, or you gonna still do the same perpetual ass patterns that got you in trouble in the first place. Now who's laughing? No, you need to laugh at your damn dumb ass self because the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing, expecting different results. It don't happen like that, pimping. You got to change the way you think, and some of the things that help articulate your balance is having a family and being about community.
Right on, Khalib. I appreciate you, man.
Community.
So again, do you think that the way Kendrick Lamar is going and Dre, do they have the ability to impact music in a more the way they come across this day and time? Do you think that they can impact music to where it can like right the ship, so to speak?
Absolutely. And they going back to the 80s and 70s.
And I can't leave J. Cole out of that equation.
Oh yeah, he's definitely one. You know what I mean? But that's what era I don't want the younger generation to think your era is bigger than our era and our era is bigger than their era because that's two dogs that barking. You know what I'm saying? You get nowhere. All I'm saying is we come from a place out of slavery, blues, jazz. On this third stop, we affected everybody from the talents we have, how we run our program, the soul we bring to basketball through the ABA, all these different things that we brung and that we're spending the most on fashion than anybody. And all I'm saying is that we got to get back to the era of substance.
Right.
I'm not telling you to say the Lung Foundation, but go ahead. It's okay to talk about a testimony and it be just as popular. But when everybody is perpetuating the same frequency, it's like you're being inspired, not knowing. These kids think you're not being inspired by these kids that are being influenced by people that don't even introduce God into their program. And I'm saying that's their business. Now it's getting back to where the nature of substance is starting to replenish itself, kind of like the earth is. You know what I'm saying? And we need to get back to that. And when you see those cats, it's like a little slingshot. They like David, and the Goliath is all this bullshit and perpetuating a lot of bullshit. And you don't hear no balance. But what they doing with their slingshots, like, bow, Goliath. And Goliath is going like that because the Goliath is moving on the false pretense, having these kids to think this is cool and that is cool. And enough is enough. We all said it to ourselves. It's not cool to use drugs, bro. And people like Papa Zanny, Whoopa Banny, Papa Banny, Bo. Whoever told you, if you come from our era, we would say that's not fresh, young homie. Who told you to use drugs, homie? Who said that was cool? But see, what we accept, fake is the new real. Now we got to get back to the point to where, you watch certain things being ushered out the way. Because the real got to come back in now. The real got to come back in for the substance. And I'm not talking about just our generation. There's some youngsters out there that don't get half the chance these other motherfuckers do that's high all day. And they talking about something and they dope as fuck. But you got all this old ignorance and incompetence going around. It's hard for a motherfucker to see what's real. It's like snitches walk. It's like really fake is the new real. So now I got to get back to the point to where, these young brothers do have a chance to go ahead and articulate some intelligence through poetry or singing, where the youngsters can go to the OGs, and the OGs at the same time have accountability and not turn them away. See, we all accountable, but we have to move on things of substance instead of this Hollywood approach. And that's what I think is getting back to. And I'm glad, because there's too many unnecessary killings. Like, niggas is doing dumb shit with no motives, my nigga. And we can't do that no more.
I totally agree, man. I totally agree with everything you just said. Well, brother, hey, listen, Kokane, I really, really appreciate this conversation we having, man. Thanks for coming on, sharing. We got to have you again, man, so we can continue this, man, because we're going to build, bro. We got to continue to build, and we got to continue to say what we say and do what we do because it's necessary. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're not going to get it in one day or one section or 1 hour and a half. It's a continuance, bro. And I appreciate you. Salute you and your family, bro. Continue to much blessings in everything you do and touch. And man, again, man, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate you too. And, definitely shout out to Uncle Stan for connecting the dots. And all I want to tell everybody, and it's real, it's easy to use lip service, but we got to hold each other accountable, and we got to lead by example.
That's it.
We got to lead by example, man. You can't do not a sample. Lead by example, hold each other accountable, and at the same time, we correct our own. We correct our own in a respectful way, not in a savage way. Let's love each other. Learn to love each other. Everybody you ain't going to be able to have around you because people carry demons. But at the same time, if we hold each other accountable, you know what I'm saying? Things going to change a lot quicker.
Man, salute to you, bro. Shout out to OG Steve, man. I appreciate it, man. Take care. We'll do it soon, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Shout out to the Mailroom Nation. Shout out to the Mailroom Goons. Shout out to the Mailroom Nation, the Mailroom Goons. Marlena Williams, Postmaster General. Kiva, what's happening, man? What's going on? Snoopy Mac. Archangel, what's happening? Michelle, there you go. Factual Truth, no tags. OG Steve, Devon Cutmore. Ricochet, what's happening? What's going on, Montgomery? God's property. Once again, we represented that God's property up in here. Once again, she has the Miracle Juice going. Miracle Juice 911. This is the Green Machine. I downed the beets and berries. I downed that, with plenty of antioxidants. Great for cleaning you out, just, setting you right. It'll set your day on the right path. You drink this early in the morning, get yourself going, take a couple of vitamins, you're good to go. Guaranteed. Appreciate you guys for coming on. This Wednesday has been sponsored by yours truly, God's property, Miracle Juice 911. I don't know if you guys can see that, but hopefully you guys can get that. And you guys want to get up on this Miracle Juice, just tap in with God's property. She'll set you right. So again, I enjoyed this conversation. Me and the brother had a great conversation. I always dig these conversations. You know what I mean? I think they're very helpful versus some of the other stuff I be seeing. You know what I mean? And I'm not criticizing or pointing anybody out or anything like that. But once again, shout out to Postmaster General Marlena Williams. Until the next time, y'all know what it is. Friday, right? We'll be back Friday. Until then, we're going to continue to build the airplane while we fly it. So you guys continue to be good, be safe, and most of all, be well. Marlena Williams, go ahead and lock the door because we are gone.